As soon as you're done with me, we will be joined, you will be joined rather, by Ambassador Asim Iftikhar Ahmad, the permanent representative of Pakistan to the United Nations, who is here to brief you on the program of work of the Security Council for the month of July, given that Pakistan is holding the presidency this month. This morning in Sevilla, Spain, our Secretary General had a closed meeting with the heads of the multilateral development banks. He then had bilateral meetings with Juan Manuel Moreno Bonilla, president of the regional government of Andalusia and the first vice president of the European Committee of the Regions. He will, and as you will have seen, we've issued a number of readouts of his meetings with world leaders while he was in Sevilla. He left Sevilla this afternoon and will be announcing his upcoming trip very shortly. Our Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, was also present at the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development, where she delivered remarks at the high-level session of the International Business Forum. She called for a shift from international assistance to investments in sustainable developments and underscored the private sector's role in delivering impact at scale. She also participated in a meeting of G20 in Spain, high-level special event on debt sustainability in developing countries, alongside Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. She highlighted the need to break the cycle of debt and welcomed the growing attention from policymakers on this very issue. This evening, she will travel to Vienna to address the 68th session of the Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, which is being organized by the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs. During her time there, she will meet with member states, senior government officials, and representatives of the UN system. She will then return to Sevilla on Thursday for the closing segment of the Financing for Development conference. Turning to the situation in the Gaza Strip, where Israeli military operations have intensified in northern Gaza since the issuance of a displacement order issued on Sunday. In time since that directive was announced, our partners on the ground say at least 1,500 families have been displaced from North Gaza as well as eastern part of Gaza Governorate. They have moved towards central and western parts of Gaza Governorate. Over the last 48 hours, 5 school buildings sheltering displaced families in North Gaza were reportedly hit, with deaths and injuries reported. Initial assessments by partners indicate that many families who fled from the schools that were hit will have returned to North Gaza, largely due to the lack of alternatives and limited shelter space elsewhere. Healthcare also continues to come under attack. The World Health Organization says that in central Gaza yesterday, a tent sheltering people in courtyard of Al-Aqsa Hospital in Deir al-Balah was reportedly hit, injuring a number of people. The agency added that the hospital's internal medicine department also sustained some damage, and its oxygen supply line was affected. Since the 23rd, since it's October of 2023, WHO has documented 734 attacks against healthcare facilities in Gaza. The agency reiterates its call for the protection of civilians and healthcare facilities. OCHA also reiterates that under international humanitarian law, civilians and civilian infrastructure must be protected, not targeted. Regarding aid operations on the ground, OCHA says that movement restrictions remain a major challenge, preventing partners from predictably and sustainably providing critical assistance and services. Yesterday, 8 out of 15 attempts to coordinate humanitarian movements inside Gaza were facilitated by Israeli authorities, including those missions to remove debris. 3 other missions were outright denied, while 2 missions were impeded and 2 others had to be canceled due to security or logistical challenges. As humanitarian assistance and basic services dwindle, people in Gaza have been increasingly deprived of means for their survival. This is a red flag that demands urgent action to secure the opening of all crossings and facilitation of all humanitarian operations, including meaningful flows of necessary life-saving supplies. OCHA warns that fuel supplies are fast running out, with devastating consequences for civilians, as you can imagine. Today, the Ministry of Health in Gaza reported that Al-Shifa Hospital Complex has suspended its kidney dialysis services due to fuel shortages. and that intensive care services will be limited to only a few hours per day. Ensuring sustained access to fuel is essential to avoiding a collapse of the logistical backbone underpinning the humanitarian response. No fuel has entered Gaza since the ceasefire, which ended, which was about 17 weeks ago. And the stocks available are depleted. Our humanitarian colleagues warn that more life-saving and life-sustaining facilities could shut down very soon. The World Food Program, for its part, warns that the window to push back starvation in Gaza is closing fast. The agency adds that its teams are adapting in real time, setting up new distribution points, navigating extreme constraints, and using every safe route to reach people where they are. However, to sustain these efforts, the agency reiterates its call for multiple points of access and safe routes to reach people, support from the international community, and a sustained ceasefire. On the humanitarian, just moving to Syria, and on the humanitarian front there, we and our partners are continuing to deliver aid across Syria. Our humanitarian resident coordinator for Syria, Adam Abdelmullah, today completed a 3-day UN interagency mission to the northwest of the country, to the governorates of Aleppo and Idlib, to assess humanitarian needs there. The team met with interim local authorities, displaced communities, and people who have returned to their communities. The team also visited a healthcare center in Marat Numan in Idlib Governorate, which has been rehabilitated by our colleagues at the World Health Organization and their partners. It now provides 100,000 people with healthcare, vaccination, emergency care, and maternity care. Our humanitarian colleagues also tell us that cross-border aid delivery from Turkey has significantly increased this year, with more than 1,400 truck crossings into Syria as of yesterday. This is 5 times the number of trucks getting in than compared to the same period last year. Since January of this year, more than 1.6 million men, women, and children have received food, received health care, shelter, and other support. Meanwhile, OCHA says that explosive ordnance contamination continues to have deadly impact across Syria. Since the start of 2025, more than 390 civilians have been killed across the country, including over 100 children. More than 500 civilians have also been injured. And on the political front, we've been asked about our reaction to the decision by the United States regarding the rescinding of a large portion of economic sanctions on Syria. I can tell you that we very much welcome this measure taken by the United States. Our special envoy for Syria, Geir Pedersen, says this is a significant step towards offering the country a path to recovery, to stability, and a better future. He underscores that it is critical to give Syrian people a genuine opportunity to rebuild their own country. As we've been reiterating, and we will continue to reiterate, the importance of ensuring that all sanctions relief are fully utilized and that financial support and resources are provided alongside the easing of sanctions. Alongside sanctions relief, a transparent and inclusive political transition, together with security and protection for all Syrians, remains the cornerstone of any lasting stability in the country. Moving to Sudan, the Secretary General's personal envoy for Sudan, Ramtam Lamamra, is intensifying his good officer's efforts to support the de-escalation of conflict and advance a political solution. Mr. Lamamra continues to underscore the criticality of scaled-up and more unified diplomatic efforts by the international community to end the war. Mr. Lamamra's team is currently finalizing consultations on the next consultative group meeting to be co-organized with the African Union in Addis Ababa. The Special Envoy is also continuing his efforts to launch a preparatory consultation process on the protection of civilians with the parties, intended to lead to proximity talks as soon as it is feasibly possible. And on the humanitarian end, I want to focus a bit more on the situation around El Fasher. I can tell you that Tom Fletcher, our Undersecretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, has spoken to senior officials of the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces this week to press for a humanitarian pause, as the Secretary General said to you earlier this last week, so that life-saving aid can reach thousands of people in the besieged city of El Fasher. Since April of last year, we and our partners have had limited access to reach civilians in urgent need. Our humanitarian colleagues underscore that we will continue our engagement with the aim of facilitating the swift and safe delivery of aid to all those who need it. Meanwhile, across Sudan, we continue to be deeply concerned about the humanitarian impact of the ongoing fighting, which is escalating displacement and driving needs even higher, including in the Kordofan region. The International Organization for Migration says that in North and West Kordofan states, more than 30,000 people have been forced to flee their villages due to the fighting. People also continue to flee hostilities in North Darfur, with fighting in El Fasher displacing more than 400,000 human beings since April of last year. And they've moved mostly to the town of Tawila. Last month, nearly 8,000 of those displaced from North Darfur arrived in Ad-Dababa locality in northern state. That's what local authorities are telling us. The influx has increased pressure on already limited resources, straining access to healthcare, shelter, clean water, and food. Once again, we call on the parties in Sudan to protect civilians, to protect civilian infrastructure, and facilitate safe and sustainable access to vulnerable people in need across the country, in line with their obligations under international humanitarian law and just international law. Our humanitarian colleagues are also sounding the alarm over the risk of potential flooding during Sudan's rainy season, which runs through October. Any flooding could disrupt road access, hamper aid delivery, and heighten the threat of disease outbreaks during the ongoing season. We've talked to you, I think, at length about cholera. Last year, 500,000 human beings were impacted by floods in parts of Sudan. We and our partners stand ready to respond to these where access and resources will allow it. However, severe funding shortfalls are limiting our ability to prepare for these floods. And the UN mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo today welcomed the signing in Aru over the weekend of cessation of hostilities agreement in Ituri by 6 local armed groups: Codeco, the Zaire Group, MAPI, FRPI, FPIC, and Chinya Tuna. Vivian van der Peer, Deputy Special Representative of the Secretary General and the acting head of MONUSCO, said this agreement marks a significant step forward in the quest for stability in Ituri. It paves the way for a new era focused on reconciliation, security, and development. The mission also encourages the signatory armed groups to continue sensitizing their ranks to ensure strict compliance with the commitments made in Aru and to honor their obligations and help create a climate of trust and reconciliation conducive to the return of displaced people and the revival of Ituri's economic and social development. Lastly, or finally, but not lastly, in a press statement issued today, the President of the Economic and Social Council, our friend Bob Ray, permanent representative of Canada, urged the Security Council to quickly heed Haiti's request for robust security assistance. A UN stabilization mission should be seriously considered, he writes. In the short term, the ECOSOC president said a significant UN support package to the multinational support force is critical. He also urges the Security Council to ensure an active UN presence on the ground, given the severity of the situation in Haiti. Deji, then Edie.
Yes, Steph, several questions. First, more than 170 NGOs today released a statement in Geneva calling an end to the Gaza Humanitarian Fund and reinstate UN-led humanitarian operations in Gaza. Any response from the Secretary General on this statement?
Refer you to what we have said day in and day out about our concerns for the Gaza Humanitarian Forum. This statement was signed by very important NGOs, and many of whom with which we partner in the delivery of aid.
Next week, Prime Minister of Israel Netanyahu will visit D.C. and meet with President Trump. Does the Secretary General have any plan or contact? Maybe the third person who can meet all those two, he's not able yet to meet.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Edie?
Thank you, Steph. 2 questions. First, the WFP is saying that the window of opportunity to prevent famine is closing fast. Are any bakeries operating in anywhere in Gaza, or have they all run out of flour?
I will need to check. Check.
And
Thank you.
secondly, you talked about Tom Fletcher, the UN humanitarian chief, speaking to both senior government and paramilitary officials about the situation in El Fasher, and the Secretary General's call for a one-week ceasefire. We know it's already been accepted by the government. What was the reaction from the RSF?
Well, let me put it this way. If both parties had accepted, we would have announced it. Ahmed Ali, please.
Hi, Steph. Two questions. So first, you mentioned that there were 2 UN-led aid missions in Gaza blocked due to what you said, security and logistical issues.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate a little bit on what that
I mean,
means?
basically, just so you understand what happens, we put in the request for the missions. Sometimes it's denied, sometimes it's granted, but sometimes it's granted with a delay, which means that the mission has to be canceled because the security situation changes, or because people can't wait at the checkpoints too long. So it's a very we are operating in a very fluid and difficult situation. So I mean, that's all I can tell you at this point.
Understood. And then, sorry, just one more question. There is a video surfacing on social media of Kenya's Interior Minister Murkomen urging police to shoot protesters. I just wonder
where?
if there were Murkomen. There was a video.
No, but where is the what country? I'm sorry.
Kenya.
Oh,
Kenya's
Kenya,
Interior Minister. Apologies. Video surfacing of him urging police to shoot protesters. Just wondering if there were any reactions or comments. By
I haven't
Secretary.
seen the video. Sorry. Alex, Vasula, then Dennis.
Thanks, Steph. The memorandum between Russia and the United Nations.
Sorry?
The memorandum
Yes.
between Russia and the United Nations under the Black Sea Grain Initiative expires this month. Will it be extended or not?
I will. Let me get an update for you on where things stand with that.
And can I have one more? Maybe even
Why should you be different than anyone else?
On my yesterday's question on the arrest of Sputnik journalists in Azerbaijan.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen, we're very aware of the growing tensions between Azerbaijan and the Russian Federation, with incidents in both countries. We very much hope that all of that is resolved through diplomatic channels, and also that the freedom of journalists to operate is also guaranteed. Vasula.
Thank you, Steve. So on June 27, the Russian Federal Security Service reportedly tortured and killed 2 Azerbaijani civilians, Ziraddin and Hussein Safarov brothers, in Yekaterinburg. And besides, they were also brothers of well-known Azerbaijani journalist Seyfeddin Hüseyinli. The same day, several others were seriously injured and 9 people were detained. I'm just wondering, I haven't seen any condemnation from the UN, and wondering, has Secretary General requested an investigation or explanation from the Russian side, Russian government?
No, as I was mentioning to your colleague, we're very well aware of the tensions between Azerbaijan and the Russian Federation due to a number of incidents, notably the one you refer to. We very much hope all this will be resolved, which will, within the framework of the rule of law and the right of journalists to work. Dennis.
So it was just reported that President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, and his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron, just held talks. First in about 3 years. They discussed Middle East and Ukraine. So what's your comment on that?
I mean, I haven't seen the outcome of the discussions, but obviously we welcome any dialogue between the two countries, especially when it's at the highest level. Let's go to Lenka to finish the Russia. Okay. We're done? Okay. Abdelhamid and then Linda.
Thank you. Can you confirm that UNFPA signed a memorandum with Israel for cooperation in Gaza?
I don't have that information.
I have even a petition from the UN staff.
I'm not doubting. I'm just saying you should check with UNFPA.
Okay. My second question. In the West Bank, settlers have burned 104 acres of agricultural land in the village of Sa'ir near Hebron. And they took over all the goats of the peasants there. Are you aware of these developments?
I'm not, Abdelhamid, we are very much aware of the situation in the West Bank. I think Khaled Kyari spoke about it. I spoke about it. We speak about it repeatedly. We're not in a position from here to do real-time reporting, but I think our position on, first of all, the illegality of the occupation, but also very much so on the violence that Palestinians have been suffering, especially in the last few months, I think has been very, very clear. Linda.
Thank you, Steph. Regarding Gaza, I was just wondering if you could give us a little update in terms of what the current size and scope of UN workers in Gaza is.
The vast majority of UN staff in Gaza are Palestinians themselves, so they remain in the thousands. Our work, we talk about it every day, it remains completely opportunistic at best, right? We're able to do things drip by drip whenever there's a slight opening and an opportunity is given to us to deliver something, we do it. But it's no way to run a railroad, let alone a humanitarian operation.
But aside from food delivery, humanitarian, what else is?
Well, fuel's not getting in, shelter's not getting in, construction material. It is the bare minimum, and that is also probably an overstatement to say that it's the bare minimum that's getting in. Benno.
Thank you, Steph. A climate question. So it's hot here in New York, but it's even hotter in Europe right now. Do you have a comment to the hottest June on record for Spain and Portugal?
I think as the Secretary General said on social media a few days ago, it's not a record. It's the new normal, and that's what is terrifying, right? So, it is what we now have to live with, and it's the heating planet is more than plain to see for anyone who is willing to open their eyes, and the impact it has on human beings who die from heat exhaustion, on people not being able to work outside because of heating, the economic impact it has all over the world. And it should, if member states and if the private sector and the carbon peddling companies still need some encouragement to do the right thing, maybe just looking at the thermometer should do that.
So when this is the new normal, when is the SG finally dropping the 1.5 degree goal?
He is keeping hope alive.
Till when?
All right. On that hopeful note, I will leave you in the hands of the permanent representative of Pakistan, who should be here.